All right. Hey, YouTube. It is Friday, January 23rd, and this is my, I didn't count the weeks. 10, 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, because last week was 10. My 11-week video. I actually haven't done my 11th week shot yet because I have forgotten, but it is Friday, and so I'm going to do it tonight before I go to bed. This is my friend Emmy. She's amazing.
Hi, Internet. Oh, stop.
Yeah, no, she's great. And we went to seminary together, and we met each other on the internet first because the internet's great.
Should we tell them where we met on the internet?
We met on Tumblr, and that's all we're gonna say about that. But she's great, and we went to seminary together, and she got me into my seminary's LGBT group and introduced me there, and that was really cool. And then I ended up leading it.
Yeah, and
not the year after you, but the year after.
2 years after, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you were a badass.
Well, you know, we try.
You guys are awesome.
And yeah, so that's what's up. Let's talk quick changes for the week. The only things that I really have to say this week regarding changes, my appetite has gone up, but that was last week. I don't think I talked about that in my last week's video, but my appetite has gone up quite a bit, and it's sort of coinciding with the weight redistribution thing, so that's been fun and interesting. So that's the one thing. The other thing is that I am getting like tiny hairs that I notice more on my face, like right here specifically, and then right here, and Emmy can't see them. Nobody can see them but me in really nice lighting. But at my work bathroom, there's like really good lighting, and so I'll like be going forward to like wash my hands, and I'll suddenly be like, I have tiny hairs on my face. So that's something I've noticed, and I'll have to shave again tomorrow.
And you have the Scooby-Doo laugh now.
And I do have the Scooby-Doo laugh, which, yeah, if you say something funny and I'll laugh, they'll be able to hear.
I'm preparing for that.
But my voice cracks a lot when I laugh, and it's like, here's another thing quickly about my voice, that I am used to talking in a certain register, so if I'm talking to, like, my parents, or if I'm talking to people that haven't been around me much since I started T, I, like, just, without thinking about it, talk in a higher register, and then my voice is like, no, you can't do that anymore. And it just starts cracking and breaking and sounding really weird. So I have to be like, no, just talk like a normal person. Don't try so hard. Anyway, so that's what I've noticed this week. That's your changes update. But we wanted to talk about quickly, like, having a friend who's trans and, like, not really, not getting it in terms of, like, not having the same experience, so you're kind of like, I don't get exactly what you go through.
Right.
But I love you and I respect you and I believe that what you say you're going through is legit.
Well, thank you for stealing my 5-minute update.
Sorry.
Because that's basically what I was going to say is, so yeah, when we met, you were, how do you talk about your past self? Do we still say, like, you were Allison?
Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, when I think about, like, past me, it's like, yeah, you're almost like preserved in pictures and preserved in memory in a certain way.
Like there's a little Smithsonian exhibit to Allison.
To me.
I like it.
In the back of my mind.
I like it.
Yeah.
Except for, then there's always the danger that somebody's going to go unlock you and turn you into like the evil twin feminine version of yourself.
Or appropriate all of my architecture and all of my tiny archives and appropriate them and never give them back.
Exactly. That's what I'm concerned for. And then just, put them on display for their own personal gain.
Yep.
I watched National Treasure. Well, it's great, because Nicolas Cage is like,
I'm going to go steal the Constitution.
Well, no, Nicolas Cage is like, we're going to give some of this to the, some to the Smithsonian, some to the Louvre, we're just going to distribute it throughout the world. And I'm like, wait, we're talking about things that were mostly stolen from, like, Egypt and
Not
Africa,
your
and maybe you should give them back. No.
No.
And because that movie's all about, like, yay, America, in a sort of, like, academic way. Anyway, this is our friendship. This is how it's been since day one. Mm-hmm. And since day one, really, like, from very early on, I think I very rarely used your name. Like, it just didn't seem right to call you.
You called me Al a couple of times, which was...
Did I?
You did. And I remember thinking that was so funny because my, like, black sheep uncle, when I was growing up, used to call me Al. He was the only one that did. And so that was, like, my only connection to being called Al, and I just thought it was so funny that you did that.
Yeah, well, because I nickname people that I, like, feel affection for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you call me by my last name a lot.
No, so I called you by your last name, and I called you bro, and, dude, probably. And it just never, it never quite fit. And then when you were like, hey, this is a thing I'm going through, and that was, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah,
seminary?
it's funny. I remember a time in your kitchen where I came over. We used to do this thing where I would come over to Emmy's house and we would like make dinner and then watch like Xena or Buffy
Those were
or something.
good nights.
Those were good nights.
That was good.
But I remember one time you were cooking in your kitchen and we were talking about like how we identified or something, and I said something about being like genderqueer and pansexual, and just being like, I just am in the middle of all of this muck and I don't really identify on any one end of any spectrum ever.
Yep.
And it was funny because like I didn't know how to explain that very well.
And I didn't really know what questions to ask because I've always been okay with being, not okay, but like, I've always been comfortable being in a female body, you know, notwithstanding all of the issues that women have with their bodies because of society and things. And I've always been like strictly attracted to women. So the idea of being gender fluid and being gender queer and being pansexual or bisexual or otherwise attracted to multiple genders is just sort of like, I have no frame of reference for how that works. But I mean, in the same way that lots of people have no frame of reference for what it's like to be attracted to the same sex, you know, I take it on good faith that, like, you know what you're talking about. You're the one that's inside your own head. And, like, you've been wrestling with this for years now. And so I just trust you. And it comes so easily. But I am still learning. Austin wanted me to share my shame for the evening.
It's not shame. It's just like, it's rethinking. It's reimagining people.
Which is just, I mean, how explicit, I mean, I feel like we're talking, okay, whatever.
It's okay, it's the internet. I don't care.
Okay, because I used their bathroom in their apartment, and then put the seat down, because that's what I always do, and then I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, because if Austin comes to the bathroom...
Like the lid, not the seat.
Yeah, the lid. Yeah, not the seat. Right. Yeah, I put the lid down, because I always do that. And I was like, oh, maybe I should leave the lid up in case Austin comes to the bathroom in the middle of the night and can't see, and then I was like, wait.
Austin doesn't require the seat to be up.
Right.
Because of the peeing standing up thing isn't a thing.
And it's just, you know, and you're not the first trans person that I've known, and you're not the first trans person that is in my life, and yet, like, I'm still very much, I'm still very much operating in this sort of gender binary of like, okay, you identify as male, therefore I imagine your body to be male, which is obviously not true. Well,
I just think that's really interesting because I think a lot of people have a hard time, like over-imagining other people's bodies in a really weirdly mentally intrusive kind of way. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, there's nothing you can do about how other people think about you, to some extent.
Right.
But I think a lot of people would have a more difficult time seeing somebody who they knew before transition and then knowing them during or after transition and thinking about them through that process as being having a more stereotypically male body or more stereotypically female body. Like, I think for a lot of people, trans people are just this weird, like, in-between thing that are just, like, weird and viscous and don't really have a body that, you know, like, it's not common, I don't think, for people to be like, oh, you're a guy now? Cool, you have a guy body. Or whatever that means, you know, like, whatever it means to have a male body. So I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just interesting that my mind is still sort of fighting that binary, or is still falling into that binary and fighting any sort of, like, gray area where it just associates, like, I use male pronouns for you, you identify as male, therefore your body is male. And I consciously know this is not true. Like, I know you, I know other people who are gender fluid in whatever way, or trans or whatever, and I know that just because you think, like, or feel, or just because you're, like, soul, spirit, heart, mind, etc. are one gender, that doesn't suddenly magically transform your body, and yet that's what my brain is doing. It's just like, okay, Austin's male now, like, 100%.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it just kind of, that idea of, like, you must be in one box or the other box, and you must be in one of those two. And so, yeah, I think that can work for and against you, because some people really do want to be in one of those boxes, and some people really don't want to be in one of those boxes, and so it's hard to figure out how you're going to open those up to be more of different other boxes, 8 billion boxes.
Yeah.
And it also brings up the idea of what it is to have a male or female body. Like, can I be in my body as it is now and still have it be a male body? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it brings up that idea of what that means, to have a gendered body instead of like the difference between a gendered body and a sexed body, if that makes sense. Yeah, I just think that's really interesting. And I don't know, just interesting stuff to think about and talk about. And and I'm lucky enough to have an awesome best friend who wants to think about that stuff and talk about that stuff.
Well, and I appreciate that you let me be a complete idiot about this. And sometimes, like, come back into the apartment room and be like, hey!
Remember that one time?
So, and I know that, like, and I've screwed up pronouns with you and told backstories that don't work and things like that. And you've been so compassionate about that and so kind, which I know is, like, super problematic for me to be like, thanks for being so great about your personal development that I have trampled on periodically.
No, I think the most important thing as, like, the friend of a trans person, like, trans people get that you're gonna, like, screw up your pronouns and screw up the name and whatever for a while, and it's, like, just getting used to it. The most important thing is being aware of the situation that you are in and whether it's going to be dangerous for you to screw that up. Like there are times when it's like, it's just the two of us and I don't care. And there are times where it's like, no, this is either dangerous or it's going to mess up my, like at work, I am only Austin and I am only male at work. Right. Even though they may know me as trans, like they may know, you know, that I'm trans. I haven't disclosed that professionally. So that would be a point where it would be like, this would be weird if you referred to me with female pronouns.
Right.
You know, like, so being aware of that, of where you are, like physically, what space you are in and what people are around you, I think is the most important thing about being a good friend to somebody who's trans. Is just like, could this possibly put you in danger? Yeah.
And I feel like what I've learned, for being Midwestern, it's so hard for us to ask questions when we feel like they're going to be rude. And yet I've learned from you, like, it's better for me to just ask questions and say, like, hey, are you okay? Like, what situation are we going into here? I mean, this is a great situation where smartphones are awesome because I can just, like, text you under the table and be like, hey, what are we doing today? And especially we had to do that, you know, a couple years ago or, like, a year ago-ish.
Yeah, when I was first coming out and, like, trying out pronouns and trying to figure out what fit, that was an issue where it was like, who are we going to be around today, and do they know, and what pronouns should I use? But it was great that you just asked, and you just said, like, hey, what are we going to do today? And it's up to you, or it's up to me, you know? Yeah. So I think leaving that space open is a really good thing, too. Anyway, that's what's up, YouTube. This video is long enough now. Okay, so thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next week. Next week will be 3 months on T. Yay! Oh my gosh. I know. It's so fast. Awesome. I know. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Have a good week. Bye.
Peace out.